Audience.
We got quite the windstorm over here right now.
Are you in Edmonton?
Beaumont.
Beaumont, yeah. Same
Yeah.
difference.
Nah. It's kind of like what Claremont is to Grand Prairie. It's more or less like a subdivision of Edmonton. So.
Yeah. All right, we got 5 sitting in the chamber, and they're probably all watching on YouTube, but I don't know yet, and my machine ain't telling me that quickly yet.
But you can't track how many people you got on YouTube?
I can, it just sometimes takes a second. It's showing me one person's in Facebook land, one on YouTube now. Maybe the other 3 are on Twitter. And they can hear us now. Our mics are hot, but that's the beauty of the show, behind the scenes. You get a look behind the curtain. All right, we'll start the
See how the magic happens.
Yeah, we'll start the old skate here. Well, I'm joined again by Mr. Bobby, and I'm going to kick us off by cracking a beer because I think I need a few for this show tonight.
Oh, you could have given me a heads up on that one. I got one cold one in the fridge there.
You can run and grab it if you'd like.
I'll power through.
My camera's being a little funny. Hopefully it comes around.
Are you sure it's just on the page?
What'd you think of the goaltending performance tonight?
You can't put this one on Costin, but here's the thing. Look at Markstrom. Look what the Calgary Flames have there. That's a legit top 10 goalie in the NHL. Arguably top 5 goalie in the NHL. Look at the difference that makes. Look at the performance he pulls out when stuff is on the line. And like I said, Mikko played well enough to win, but he's the second best goalie on the ice tonight. And that's not a knock against him. That's more of a praise of how good Markstrom is. That save he made him alone in the slot on that one-timer thing, if that goes in, I guarantee you the announcers say, well, he had no chance on that one. He comes up with it. You heard a couple of goals today against Mikko where Kelly Reed was saying, wow, Mikko had no chance on that one. Yeah, you're right, he didn't. But lo and behold, Markstrom comes up with those saves.
You know, the only one I might question a little bit is Gaudreau's breakaway. I'm not even really questioning it. I mean, he's a big man. He went into the splits, and Gaudreau still kind of went around him a little bit. That's the only one for me is like, I wish like 6 inches more he kind of kicks that away. But you know what? You give up a breakaway late in the game to a really good shooter. So you know if you're making him deke all the way the long way around you to kind of put it in, I think you've done your job. You know, you didn't give him an easy wrister. You know, you made him earn it, and he did. I like Darnell Nurse, but that play that can't happen. I mean, he was around everybody, and he decided to drop it back. He should have kept going. You know, we've become a little bit too predictable with what we're doing. I thought tonight really the difference in the game was special teams.
Again?
Yeah. They've let us down. You know, you needed to get one tonight on the power play. And, you know, Calgary gets their special teams goal. We don't. 5-on-5 is basically a saw-off until Nurse makes that play. If we get a power play goal, I think it's a different hockey game. To me, that was the difference of the game.
Well, even shrink that up a bit. So, okay, we're not getting goals on the power play right now. And that's, you know, we should be with the talent we have. But now we're giving up breakaways on our power play. Like what they have, like
Yeah.
They had 4 breakaways, 5 odd man rushes on their PK,
Yeah.
and that's like that just cannot happen.
And you know, I don't think it was Nurse's best night, but I also think we're limited on our variables on what we're doing. When Draisaitl gets the puck on the half wall, if he doesn't have his shot, it's kind of these lazy little backhands back to the point guy, and if they get picked, it's a 2-on-1 the other way. Uh, that to me is the danger with what we've got going on, and I think I think a lot of it stems to Nuge being out of the lineup. I mean, people say people should be able to pick up the slack, but I really see Nuge as almost like a Doug Waite, Ales Hemsky type player on that half wall with his kind of slight delays that he does, and people do have to respect his shot, and probably more so than they did Hemsky because he takes it more. I think they're about the same level of accuracy. Hemmer was lethally accurate with his wrist shot, and Nuge is too. I just think Nuge uses his shot a little bit more than what Hemmer did, but they delay, and Waite and Hemsky and Nuge, they were all brilliant passers. So it's just one more weapon in kind of that arsenal that I think they sorely miss, and I think it's had an impact when he's been out.
Well,
I
100%.
I guess it can't be overlooked as well that we're missing Puljujärvi, and that's another big body and probably a little bit more mobile than Evander Kane or Hyman, even for that matter. And not much is being said about him being out, but I think we miss him as well.
No, we miss him in games like this for sure. Like you say, he's a bigger body. Nuge, I think, is one of those glue guys, not just off the ice, but on the ice. Like he's kind of that puzzle piece that fits everything together. And on the PK and on the power play, 100%. He's a good decision maker when he plays that left point there about when to make a pass and when to take the shot. A quick thing on the Hemsky there, I think it was kind of funny. Don Cherry used to call Hemsky the best 19 goal scorer in the league. So he always could have had more, but I thought Kane played good. He seemed to be one of the only guys, except for Benson, in the limited time Benson got, to be physically engaged out there. He was chirping, hey?
Oh yeah, 10-minute misconduct after I think it was Koskin, or was it Lucic ran Broberg there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the game stats in front of me, and Benson had more minutes and penalties than they had actual ice time.
I'll take it. He got his name on the score sheet.
He showed some heart, and and Kane got in there a few times and tried starting some mucking stuff up. Nebelin had a couple good hits, but I thought a guy like Hyman got tossed around quite a bit today, and you don't see that from Zach Hyman that often. Sevier was non-existent, although he only got 5 minutes ice time. Fogle throws his weight around, and he has nobody checks. Stats gave him no hits on the game. So I think when you play against Calgary, that's one of the ways you feed is my TV just went on. One of the things you feed is off your physical play, off the aggression, off the emotion of the Battle of Alberta, and it wasn't there. I look at the penalties we got. The only kind of quote unquote aggressive penalties we may have gotten are Kane got a slashing call, and then Nurse got a slashing call. The rest were all hooking, tripping, holding, interference. Come on.
Nurse earned his slashing call. He basically busted his stick and Kachuk's stick all at the same time. That's a good hack. I'll take it.
At least it's the penalty. It's not one of those pansy ones.
Did you ever play out at all, Bob?
Out? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever get into the gamesmanship when there's a face-off and you're squaring off with the other guy? Any of that stuff?
I played in a tournament, and I was playing the wing, and this one guy was having an incredibly emotional time out there from the opposition. I was lined up against him, and I don't know what I had one move where I put the puck between his legs to go around him once, and I think that embarrassed him. And then after that, he was just on my case, and he wanted to start something, and I didn't want to start anything. And then but he was getting so emotional that I actually turned to our bench before the face-off, and I said, "Watch, I'll get this guy kicked out." And to tell you the truth, I forget what I did. I said something to him, and he turned around and he gave me a two-hander across the back of the legs, packed me down, and I put him in a headlock and actually kissed the top of his helmet just to rub insult to injury, and he just lost it, and then he got tossed from the game.
When you're a winger and the other winger is like trying to go in front of you, as a left winger, I would let that guy go in front of me, because if you're behind them and you have your knee behind their knee and you just give them that little push, you could you could send them flying, or at least like knock them off balance, and you know, like I don't care if somebody wants to cut in front, kind of like that. If you're the guy behind and you have your leg behind their knee, you have full control of what happens to them. So you know, you can send them flying, you can do nothing, you can toy with them. With Kane and Kachuk there at the start of the second, I love that. That, to me, that was great.
I love that.
Yeah,
we need more of that for sure. And then I know what they're trying to do. You're absolutely right. If you're the guy with the legs behind them, you're in control of them physically.
Yeah.
But I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to help the centerman win the draw by getting the puck first.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it is what it is. But I want to see more of that. Why is Evander Kane in his first battle of Alberta bringing all the emotion? My goodness. Our guys should be bringing all that baggage in from the other battles they've had.
Yeah. Yeah. Like these games usually is when Leon plays his most physical. He gets up for those games, and McDavid too. Like he's usually got a physical edge to himself. As for the talk, you know, the other day about McDavid being hurt, tonight I think if there was any of that before, I think that's gone now. When I think it was in the third period when he kind of was sort of stumbling, but still kind of broke away there. You're not doing that if you're hurt. Yeah.
He's still kind of staying away from the dirty areas, which he did. He didn't do so much like last year. Even he was in the dirty areas a lot more. Today, or this year, he hasn't been as much. He had a couple nice rushes, but my goodness, I hate to say this, but the Flames are impressive. And they are an impressive team. Their depth is impressive. They got their go-to guys that are stepping up for them. Their defense, to me, today was quite impressive. They broke up a lot of plays with their sticks. Zadorov's got that reach of a mongoose there, and it's insane the plays he can break up.
You know, you bring that up, but we're not that far away. Like, really, tonight I thought it was the difference of the hockey game with special teams. 5-on-5, I thought we were right there with them until Nurse had that kind of brain fart there late in the game. And I think they have the better goalie out of what we got. But that's not to say that Mikko played a bad game. I think he's our number one. Hopefully Skinner gets into a game. Down on the farm, they're giving I should have looked it up. They're giving a guy basically a tryout. He's on a PTO for the Condors.
Really?
Yeah. So to me, that's kind of saying that maybe Stewart's going to be here for more than just a couple of games. It's interesting anyway.
Yeah, it is. I think, I want to see Skinner play at least a couple more while he's up. It depends how long Mike Smith said it. If it is actually a stomach bug like they're saying, which I think there's more to it than just a stomach bug. We did see him tweak something last game. So I think he's nursing more than that. I agree with you. I think Mikko is our number one right now. He did play well enough to win. And you're also bang on. We're not far away. We're missing a lot of key ingredients right now with Puljujarvi and Nuge being out. Even Barry probably helps our power play out a bit more, especially when Nurse was struggling today on the PP. We could have used a guy like Barry in there to help out. So, we're close, but the Flames were impressive today. their defensemen who I've never really noticed as much before, but I thought their D-men played a good game. They were taking away a lot of up the middle rushes that Draisaitl and McDavid were trying. McDavid got through partially one time. Even McLeod tried a couple times. So they did some good work with the sticks. Sutter's got them playing some good hockey right now.
Yeah. Did you kind of chuckle at Markstrom there when he kind of passed it into the ref's skate and it came out? And I think it was Derek Ryan put it on net, gave up the rebound, and then Shore hammered it home, and then he's mad at the ref.
Well, what's sad about that whole thing is our only goal we scored with the assistance of the ref. So, but I think at that point it's just frustration on Markstrom's part. He knows that rule. Like, it's live off the ref.
Yeah,
I've played games with I've made one of my best saves ever that ricocheted off a ref before, and I gave him that look like, "What are you doing, buddy?" But it's just it catches you off guard. You're not ready for it, so yeah, it's frustrating, but it's a rule.
Yeah, part of the play.
Part of the play. Yeah.
Puck's live. Yeah.
I want to double check that rule that Kelly Riddy was saying, just to see if does it actually not count if it goes off the ref and in? Kelly, it is.
I think he's wrong. I think he's wrong.
I think so too. I think it's a goal.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because they're part of the play. Yeah.
I'll double check that here after once to go offline here, because now I'm curious. Because
I've actually never seen it happen though.
Me neither. So who knows? And hopefully we don't see it happen. That'd be unfortunate.
Yeah.
And nobody feels worse than the officials, for sure. I mean, oftentimes it seems like they get in the way all the time, but like you're in the middle of no man's land. And seriously, when you're playing, Mike, do you even look to see where the official is before you fire a puck around the net or even up the ice?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they make heroic efforts to get out of the way, and you never really pay much attention to it. But you know what? That seems to be almost like a lost art. Like you used to see refs jump up onto the half board there and hug the glass to be out of the way of the puck. But now they don't seem to do that more.
Well, the glass is higher.
Yeah, and I don't know. They seem to not want to risk getting hurt by being too active out there. Quite a bit of chatter here on YouTube, so I should probably address some of this. So Bryce Workman says if we miss the playoffs, going to be a huge disappointment. Yeah, for sure. I don't think I'm in that realm yet, but they need to get going. I mean, the more games you drop, the harder it gets to kind of climb the ladder.
Thought, and I understand why that thought is creeping into some fans' heads, because once you get to these, we're in a 3-game losing streak now, so all the red flags start popping up. Yeah. Disappointment would be a very minor word for that. I think it would be disaster.
Yeah.
It'd be unacceptable, and I would hate to see the change after that, because there's lots of people that are going to get tossed.
You know what? Honestly, missing the playoffs is not going to be something I'm going to look forward to, but neither would a first round exit again. I mean, to me, if you can't get past the first round, you have to go up a little higher up the ladder and get rid of Nicholson and Holland. To me, that's a failure.
I think,
and I was that way with Tippett. Like if Dave was the coach and he got us into the first round, and we're golfing come second round, to me he had to go. But you've already done that, and now, I mean, the biggest problem with this team, I thought in the summer, was our goaltending, and we still haven't addressed that. Now we're getting goaltending from Mikko, but it's not enough. I think if Mikko was playing every third game for this team, and we had a legitimate starter that was, somewhere around a 915 or 918 save percentage or higher, we wouldn't be, at the kind of on the outside looking in. Who was it? Jim Matheson was talking about Connor Hallebuck having a 911 save percentage and that being pedestrian. With that pedestrian save percentage, we'd be in a lot better position right now than where we are.
Yeah. I was checking it during the game. Like, we are 23rd in the league in save percentage.
Yeah.
That's not enough for playoff goaltending.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess here, but I would say we're somewhere hovering around 900, right?
Yeah, it was 907.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so that 911 would
Yeah, there you go.
that would give us a few more wins,
Point for Dursa. Let's have Jim Matheson called in. Geesh, we got a good argument here.
Yeah. Well, I called him on it. I said, well, if you're going to call 911 for Hallebuck pedestrian, what would you call Smith's save percentage? And obviously, he never responded to that.
Too busy getting pissy about everything else.
Yeah.
I agree with you, though. I think playoff-wise, we have it's a minimum first-round win. There's no reason why. We were talking before we started this recording here was the excitement level we have for the Oilers beginning of the season. For me, was through the roof. I saw no reason why. And again, I was banking on Mike Smith being able to play like he played last year. Because let's face it, Mike Smith played out of his mind last year. He even had I checked this morning at work. Hopefully nobody from work is listening. Geesh. Online at work that he actually had 3 votes for Vezina votes last year.
Yeah.
So like he played fantastic. So if he was able to, I was hoping he'd be able to carry that into this year, as Ken Holland hoped. Otherwise, he would have re-signed him, I suppose. I saw no reason why we couldn't get to at least to the conference finals with the team that we had, with the addition of Fogle, Bouchard being an everyday D-man now. Nurse had stepped up his game to the point where he was in Norris consideration for a while last year, right? So everything was on the up and up, and we just have not really been able to keep that momentum.
Yeah, and Barry had a pretty good season last year too.
Barry had a great year last year. I'm a Tyson Barrie fan, but he has struggled this year especially with consistency. My goodness.
Yeah, and tonight, I think it probably was a little bit more evident that with Barrie and Bouchard both in the lineup, we're a little bit better of a team too. Niemelainen, he was trying to be physical, but some of that youth and exuberance, I think, got kind of exposed by old man Lucic too. There, he took some pretty good runs at the kid.
I thought the Kelly Rudy and Rick Hall there made some good points about those guys. Both Broberg and Niemelainen, they play a fairly physical game, especially Niemelainen. But they're still kids filling into their bodies. Like I didn't believe this, but I looked it up yet, and they are both of them under 200 pounds.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Niemelainen at 190, so I'm thinking Broberg's probably $180, $185 maybe at the most. And
no, he was 191, and
was he? Oh, so he's weighing more than Niemelainen. That's
Niemelainen 199. So he's just under 200.
Well, they said tonight he weighs 190.
I just checked it today though before I got on when they were talking about it. So, but either way, under 200 pounds for guys that big, so they're still filling into their bodies, and but yeah, Lucic did show them what a man is like.
Yeah, the old man strength. Quaddy on YouTube says Oilers have completely lost their ability to finish. The PP is absolute garbage. In fact, it's a liability that gives up more chances than it gets. Yeah, I tweeted out tonight that maybe we should just start declining our power plays because we were giving up more shorthanded chances than we were getting offensive.
Well, I thought the Flames were going to start taking penalties on purpose just because they were getting better scoring chances on the PK.
And Bryce says, I don't think we're making the playoffs. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I think there's kind of a late charge coming here. I think relatively soon some guys are going to start coming out of sick bay and we're going to get a little bit healthier, and that's going to help.
I'm not really in the playoffs, but I think we'll make the playoffs. I am worried about our first round matchup, though.
No, if it's the Avalanche, it's not going to be too much fun.
So you were right, actually. I'm looking at it now. Niemelainen is 6'6", 190.
Yeah.
190. Boy, he's going to be a beast once he gets a man body going, eh? Whew.
Yeah. Yeah. Black Masakari on YouTube says we missed too many players right now. Don't think any
Yep.
other team is in the injury troubles like that. Hard to evaluate games right now. I don't think we're leading the league in man games lost, but I don't think we're too far down the list.
No, we're not. We're actually right near the middle of the pack, because when you go through the injury man games lost, they were also starting. They were also counting COVID protocols, and so like Montreal Canadiens had a huge one there. New Jersey Devils had a huge one there. So those guys are leading the league in man games lost due to injury. I think maybe we might be losing man games due to key injuries. Like some of the key guys have been out for extended periods of time, and that different. It seems to be scattered through the league. It's not like we're missing McDavid and Draisaitl in one game. We'll miss McDavid one game. We'll miss Nugent for a bunch of games, and Puljujarvi's out for a bunch of games. So it's to get our full lineup in right now.
Yeah. Black Mazzacari says here too. He says never noticed Nuge that much. Not all that flashy, but I'm a hockey noob, so that's not saying much. Nuge isn't the most flashy hockey player in the world, but he's a very smart hockey player. He's a good penalty killer, and like I say, on the power play, he stalls and he delays and people kind of get free and he finds them and boom, it's in the net. I don't think it's any coincidence that Draisaitl's one-timer is kind of cooled off a little bit and Nuge is out of the lineup.
You don't have to be... it's not just hockey noobs that are observing that. Like I know it's quite a bit. I'm on an Oiler chat on Messenger and stuff with a bunch of buddies back home, and we were talking, like, a couple guys there hadn't noticed how much we missed Nuge until I kind of got pointed out to them, like, because he touches so many elements of the game that we're missing from him, and not just as an individual, also what he does to the guys around him. Like him and Hyman were having some dynamite chemistry together, especially on the PK. They've had some all-star shifts out there in the PK, and we're definitely missing that chemistry, and even just Nuge as a player himself.
Yeah. Quite a few people watching on YouTube tonight. That's pretty cool. I think we got 14.
What's up, YouTube?
Yeah, 14 kind of in the hole all at the same time right now,
so
that's cool.
I don't even have 14 friends.
Some stranger off YouTube says sad state of affairs. Yeah, no kidding. Let's get back in the win column on Wednesday against Ovechkin, and if they have the Ukrainian national anthem to start the game again, maybe that'll put him in a bad mood and he'll be sad for the whole night. Neil Garrity off of YouTube says they said tonight that Georgiev wants out of New York. Is there a realistic trade there? Depends on the ask, I guess. I mean, yeah, that's a goalie that I would look at targeting for sure.
There is a realistic trade there. I agree, and I think it's something we should target. I don't know if that will happen though this season. I think they'll want to keep that duo together because the Rangers are primed to make a deep playoff run. So they really don't have much of stability after Georgiev right now. That's ready to be in the NHL at least. So, but their asking price is also going to be huge, especially if we're going to try to get them for this season yet. Like, we're just going to get shelled on that trade. What we might get shelled on any trade we make, but that might be the price we have to pay to get what we want.
Yeah. I personally don't think much is going to happen on the goalie front until minimum the deadline.
I agree. Yeah. I agree, and I think it'll end up being a rental, or it might end up being like another Mike Smith scenario. It's not as old as Mike Smith, but still getting there. But like we were talking last time, Varlamov could be an option, right? He's a veteran. He's probably got another 1 or 2 years left in him.
Yeah. I just and by then it might be too late anyway. It really depends what they do the next. I think the deadline's pushed back this year. I think it's towards the end of March here.
It's two more weeks.
Yeah.
So 21st, I think, is deadline.
So we're far away, but we're not that far away. So
it'll come fast.
Yeah. And yeah, for me, the goalie move needed to be last summer,
Oh,
and it
it
was,
did.
and it wasn't, and now we're here, and it's like, he waited and waited to let go of Tippett, and then made that move. Um, and I like what Jay has done. I think if Dave Tippett was coaching tonight, it would have been an 8-1 hockey game instead of a 3-1 game. Um, I you know I think there was some mistakes made tonight, but it wasn't like we were playing brutal defense. Just a couple of brain cramps. Our game in general, I thought, was good. Just a couple of little mistakes. Like it wasn't a wide open pond hockey game like some Battle of the Albertas can be. It was pretty tight checking and not a lot of room to do a lot out there.
I think we could have used a boost, a physical boost, like what Kane was trying to do. Nurse was having a rough game, and Nurse is a premier defenseman in this league, so he was having a really rough game. I think he was forcing things too much. Maybe he felt the pressure of both Bouchard and Barry being out, whatever. He's got to try and pick up the slack or what have you. But maybe he's a guy then who, if he's struggling, maybe he does something physical to try get his juices flowing and get his team on his back, kind of thing. But he just seemed to be concentrating on making mistakes. Like it was frustrating to watch. It was a tough one for him.
Yeah. No, being the number one go-to guy on the power play and the number one go-to guy on the penalty kill and the number one go-to guy 5-on-5, I think might have just overwhelmed him a bit today. Normally he can handle that kind of pressure when it's presented to him, but today it was not his best outing for sure. Neil Garrity says, "What would you give?" I think that's probably in reference to the Georgiev trade.
Oh my goodness! The thing is, we would get pillaged. That's the thing. Like you'd be giving up. Probably we'd be giving up a first round pick. You'd be giving up somebody who's in our lineup now, and you'd be giving up a top prospect. So
I think so.
I'm talking. You'd be giving up a first rounder. You'd be giving up somebody like Yamamoto, maybe, or a D man back there, and you'd be giving up a prospect in our minor league system that's a good prospect. So you'd be giving up a lot.
I mean, if you could do it where it was the first Barry and Samorukov, I think I might pull the trigger on that because it solves another problem.
The Rangers only a Barry. Yeah. The Rangers only a Barry. They got that Adam Fox going. He's putting up offensive and defensive numbers. Barry would be in the way on a Ranger team. Yeah. Barry would be more suited for like a Coyotes team or Canadians or something like that. So where they got to get some more offense off the back end.
Well, or Coyotes where they have to get to the cap floor.
Well, they got to play on that their outdoor frozen pond for next year or whatever they got going on. Jeez.
Grovedale Arena,
like glass.
Yeah, some stranger says the only one to score a goal was Devon Shore. Let that sink in.
And just the other day when we were on here, I was talking how Shore to me doesn't bring anything extra to the table, and I think he's in the lineup too much. And I never question his effort, but you're bang on. Like Shore was 100% of our offense with an assist from the referee. So yeah, that's a statement game. Yeah. Statement for that.
Yeah, Derek Ryan just about scored that, but
Ryan didn't play too bad. He was pretty good, but Leon had a tough game too. I think Connor was all right today. The Flames did a good job locking him down for the most part. Leon looked frustrated, and he tends to look frustrated when things aren't going the way they should.
Neil Garrity on the old YouTube says, never question clutch Devon Shore.
What, the high school buddy of his? What's going on? You owe him money?
I might have added a little bit to what he said, but JT says second round draft pick to get a goalie. But
who do you get for that though?
Yeah, the other aspect to that is if you're going to trade this year's second round draft pick, you have to add a caveat to that deal because as part of the Duncan Keith trade, if the Oilers make the Stanley Cup final, that has to include a second round pick, like the third rounder that they went to changes to a second rounder. So you can trade your second round pick, but you have to add the caveat that if we make the Stanley Cup final, it rolls over to next year.
Well, let's be honest, that's the big if right now.
And for whatever reason, we just lost the chat, and I don't know why, but I'll have to figure that one out. It just
like for a second round pick, I don't think you get much return for a goalie, especially considering the 31 other teams know how desperate we are for a goalie. So their asking price, they can afford to be high with their asking price and start whittling down to something reasonable. But for us, a second round pick gets us David Riddick.
No,
like that won't be enough. Koskinen is better than Riddick.
I'm not trading a second round pick for David Riddick.
No, but I guarantee you, Nashville would ask for something like that. They can afford to.
It doesn't move the needle enough.
Nashville's got some good goalies in their system. Like that'd be something to look into in the off season about seeing if you can go after one of their young guns.
Yeah.
But who knows? And like a long-term solution for goaltending is going to happen in the off season. This is the part where I feel for Holland a bit, because it was actually pretty well known that the Oilers were going after a goalie. In fact, Markstrom was on the short. Oilers were on the short list for Markstrom, right? And the asking price became too high. Of course, now when you watch him play, you're like, well, maybe the asking price wasn't too high. But at the time, it sure seemed like it. When they signed him, I'm like, for the money they signed him for, I kind of like, oh yeah, I think we dodged a bullet there, because that was a lot of money to give him.
Didn't we offer him more money but less years?
I thought it was the other way around, more money, less, or yeah, it could be right. But Mike Smith also played so spectacular. He earned a re-signing. He did. To have gotten 3 Vezina votes and then just discarded to the sidewalk would have been a cruel thing to do. I think he earned the right to be back this year. If anything, the Chiarelli signing of Koskinen has more handcuffed than anything else. I mean, because we were stuck with him now. Well, this is his last season, but that put us in a bit of a pickle for our goaltending situation, I think. And now, have we been able to find somebody before we signed Mike Smith the first time, that could have maybe solved some of our goaltending solution? Because now, after that one season Mike Smith played for us and he played spectacular, you're almost cornered into signing him again. If we had found somebody initially instead of Mike Smith, maybe we're in a better spot for longer term.
Fool's gold.
Maybe,
yeah.
But there's a lot to be said for momentum, and like even Mike Smith's first couple of games when he got back were good, and he has shown a few games where he has looked like the Mike Smith of old, but for the most of the season, it just hasn't been there, and he's not recovering from any injury. At 39, you're not going to recover from any injury. You stub your toe at 39, beginning of the season, that toe is going to bother you the whole season.
Right. You're just not getting healthy. Lucic gives you a chop on the pad after you make a save. Are you giving him a blocker there?
Not if I'm Koskinen, because Koskinen doesn't have that in him. Do I do it? My goodness, that's a good question. What part of the game was that? I didn't see that happen. What part of the game was it?
So I think that was in the second period.
Second period?
Yeah. I think Calgary was on the power play, and Koskinen kind of makes a glove save. It was kind of low, and he just corrals it, and Lucic gives him a pretty healthy chop on I think his right.
Oh yeah, when he was.
He's down. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you meant like a congratulatory tap on the pad, going, "A nice save, buddy."
No.
Yeah, I probably take I don't give him a blocker in the face, but I probably give him like a two-handed push in the chest, something like that, or like that. Like you're already on the PK. So if you block her in the face now you're down 2 men. If Lucic decides not to do anything in return, but I don't think you just sit there. And that's the other thing. What happened with that? Did anybody? The nurse jumped in kind of late, and the whole thing kind of dissipated. But where is that? What about when Lucic was chasing Broberg down the ice to eliminate an icing run and just ends up jumping on his back? You see that one?
Yeah. I think that's where Benson picked up the 10-minute misconduct from the bench. I think he was barking
Why
something.
is all our aggression coming from the bench? Like, Lucic honestly was not going to win that race, so he decides to jump on Broberg.
When I first saw that, I thought it was pretty dirty on Lucic's behalf.
Well, you're talking about the hit. You're talking about the hit where Broberg went headfirst to the boards there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about before that already, when Broberg was racing down the ice to try and get an icing with Lucic, and then Lucic ended up just jumping on top of him.
Oh, yeah, no. When Lucic basically shoved him into the boards there at first I thought that was a pretty dirty play on Lucic's part, but then I saw the replay and I'm like, Broberg hit the e-brake there. He slowed down, and I don't know. I think it's still kind of chintzy or cheap from Lucic, but I don't know why you would hit the brakes there. To me, that was not smart on Broberg's behalf either.
I think Broberg made it worse by hitting the brakes because now he's vaulting himself into the boards. I think Lucic is going to kill him no matter what. I mean, if Broberg goes to play the puck there, Lucic is going to smash him through the boards.
I don't think he can catch him.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looked worse. It looked worse than what it was. It was basically a man against the boy. It was a man against the boy hit there. But even then, Lucic has that contact. Your guy goes down hurt. Jump on him. Like, geez. Like,
yeah.
We just watched it.
It probably knocked the wind out of him. I don't think he hit his head. Like, I think he had enough time to sort of brace himself, but it probably did take the wind out of him.
Maybe a bit. I think maybe more than anything, it probably scared him. He went in awkwardly.
Yeah.
He kind of laid there and did a brief little check on himself. Okay, I'm good. This feels fine. Okay, I'm okay.
Because he actually stopped about 10 or 15 feet shy of the boards there and got shoved into it, so he had some time there. But still,
as a man against the board.
Yeah, still, like, Lucic is probably, 250? and it just, you get hit into the boards like that, and, if it's your chest and that, it doesn't take a lot to take the air out of you.
I still would have wished I still wanted somebody to jump on him for that. He just hurt one of your players, regardless of who was initiating the contact.
Go give him a push or go say something. Like, don't just let it be. Even if you're if you're Koskinen, I mean, you're the closest guy. You're big. Go over there.
Yeah. You shouldn't be getting your most aggression from your rookie that's on the bench. So
I got the chat back, and some stranger says, "Can't believe Broberg survived that hit." The only reason he survived it is because he basically held up 10 to 15 feet shy of the boards there. I think if that hit occurs 4 or 5 feet from the boards, you're probably dealing with a concussion.
But I think if you go up against the boards though, you're better off there.
Yeah, if you're right up tight, you can survive it a little bit. I mean, Lucic hitting you, even if you're doing everything right, I think will still have an effect. But if you hug the boards and let the boards take most of the weight, like you're taught in minor hockey, how to take a hit, it'll definitely help. But Lucic is still a big man, and
he's a big man. But Niemelainen handled him well because Lucic nailed Niemelainen twice on the boards, and Niemelainen was up against the boards, and so it just kind of bounced off.
Yeah, make the boards take the work. Some stranger says head first to the board. I actually don't think he clanged his head into the board there. I think it was kind of a lot of shoulder.
Well,
it looked bad at first, but
he was sliding head first to the boards, and he was able to crank his neck.
Yeah, he braced himself a little bit. Kane needs a fight.
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I don't disagree. And I thought he had the opportunity. I thought he was close. I thought he had opportunity to do this. I don't think he saw the play Lucic on Broberg there. Like Kane was on the ice and he came in late to go and attempt to kind of talk with Lucic a bit. I don't think he saw that play. Maybe if he would have seen it, he would have been like, maybe that was his time. I don't know, but I agree. I want to see Kane. I want to throw him. I want to see him throw him.
Yeah, on Wednesday, Kane Tom Wilson fight would be okay with me.
Yeah,
I don't think Matthew Tkachuk, engages, takes it that far. I think Kane's in a different echelon than Cassian. So I don't think Tkachuk would have took a fight there. He might have dropped his gloves, but I don't see him wanting to go toe to toe. He probably would have just hung on like Nurse does with Lucic.
And I don't think Tkachuk normally would throw them with Cassian either, except for the fact that he was basically pressured into doing it to save some sort of face. He wasn't going to.
Yeah, I mean, since all that happened, he's kind of stepped up his fights that he takes, but still, I think he cherry picks his opponents a little bit.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Of course he does. Yeah. He's a Matthew Barnaby. That's what Barnaby made a career out of, that cherry picking his fights. I couldn't stand that guy. Like you saw the panic in his eyes when somebody like Brashear would grab him. So and he's like, oh, I better make it look like I'm a man. But nah, he'd always go picking after Cliff Ronning. He'd go after Cliff Ronning for a fight or something like that. So
yeah, there you go. Cliff Ronning with 3 career fights, I think. Everybody lost in ego says I'm putting 500 on Oilers missing the playoffs. That way I'm not totally disappointed. This team needs a heart transplant or something. Well, when you go and put 500 down, they're going to disappoint you by making the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I am confident we'll make the playoffs. I think you're right. I think we'll make a push yet. We have the tools. We need to get healthy for sure. We need our guys to kind of find their game a little bit here. We need our goaltending to stay stable. Let's face it, a game like tonight for Nurse was an anomaly. He's usually very solid. He's a top tier defenseman, so that didn't help our cause. We'll get there. It's frustrating. Like I got very exasperated this game. I threw my hands a couple times. I even said something like that. This must be what it feels like to have been a Leaf fan for the last 55 years, kind of thing, where we're so good and yet we do so shitty at times. It's just it's mind-boggling. We have the 2 best players in the game. We should be putting 2 7-game winning streaks in instead of 2 7-game losing streaks.
I gotta look at it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. 0 for 5 on the power play to me is kind of the story.
For the guys we have, it's not acceptable at all. Like that's and not only that, what we get 5 shots on the power, we get 1 each power play kind of thing. Like we weren't getting quality shots.
Yeah. No.
McDavid had one off the rush in a power play. Like not even a setup shot. It was zone entry and shoot. So Markstrom's going to stop those.
Everybody lost in ego on YouTube says we have the tools. LOL, they all look like tools. Ha ha ha, joke.
There's definitely games where, the toolbox is not the most quality of tools we have in there.
Neil Garrity says, I feel sorry for Nurse with the partners he's had. Majority of the season it's been Bouchard or Barry as his partners. Tonight he was with Cody Ceci. Ceci's been. I haven't minded Ceci's game pretty much all season. I thought he's been solid. So tonight might have been Nurse's night with his best partner defensively, all year, and just happened that he had his worst game. Like you said, I think that's a bit of an anomaly. I think this season he's been more defensively responsible probably than any other year in his professional career. So just write it off. He'll be back, but the next couple of games are against Eastern Conference teams, and they're not 4-point games. But if you can win them, you start to climb back to
Well, we're
respect.
at that point now again, and like I don't blame us as fans for getting your heart rate's going right now. You're getting a little bit panicky because we've already had we start the season off with the rule of we don't lose 2 games in a row, right? And then we have 2 7-game losing streaks, and now all of a sudden, boom, we have a 3-game losing streak. So now we're getting to that kind of panicky mode. Like this can't be another 7-game losing streak. That we just can't go through that again. So and I felt that this game too. I felt this was a huge game, a time to make a statement. We also kind of have a tendency of playing to the level of our competition. And having said that, I don't think we played bad today. Just our offense just wasn't there. Like this wasn't the shit the bed kind of game like Montreal was.
No, two different styles of game though. I mean, Montreal game was more, back and forth, almost riverboat gambling hockey. Like tonight was more controlled, more defensively responsible. Not a lot of chances given up, and not a lot of chances taken. If we can cash on the power play, I think it's a different result. In Montreal, it looked like they could skate a little bit more than we could, and if you want to chalk that up to a first game home after a long road trip, okay. I don't want to cut them slack on that kind of stuff. It just looked like Montreal was playing at a different speed than we were. JT off of YouTube says looking forward to Archie back in the lineup. Yeah, if Josh Archibald is going to make an appearance, it has to be on home games or games in Calgary, and he has to drive, I guess, to go there because he can't get on an airplane. So I don't know. If things change with the way flying works into the United States in the next little while, then maybe he can make an impact. But I think it's pretty hard for a guy to just sort of come and go with the way it is right now.
I don't think. Well, you're right. It has to be home games or against Calgary or whatever. So that gives him a limited space to make an impact or to make a difference. We could use a guy like that. Absolutely, we could. But
yeah,
rules are what they are, I suppose, whether we agree with them or not. And yeah, we can cross our fingers to hope that all that stuff gets laxed more. So he could play the bulk of the season. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
He would have been good. He would have been fun to have in this game because he is that guy who throws the body around. Like so,
yeah.
He could have been that guy that could have gotten the juices going with some body checks. How many times has he done that for us before? Like, it's what he does. Like, sheesh.
Yeah. No. It's. I don't want to get into the politics of all of that, but.
Oh no. We've been talking about that shit for over 2 years now, so I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Let's stick to hockey.
Yeah, no, definitely could use his physical presence in the lineup, but it's going to be on a limited basis. So I'm not sad or disgusted or thrilled. Just if he's in, I hope he plays well. If he's not, it's kind of his choice. And
how big does that Tyler Toffoli signing look for the Calgary Flames?
Yeah, you bringing up something that he was kind of available last season with Vancouver, right? And Montreal scooped him up, and he helped them go on a pretty decent little run.
Yeah, if you call Stanley Cup final a decent run, yeah.
Yeah, and Calgary took notice of that and scooped him up. I wish we would have took a run at him when he was available when Vancouver was looking to unload that. He would have been a nice pickup. Ricard Raquel still. I salivate at the thought of him being an Edmonton Oiler, but I guess Evander Kane probably is kind of your Ricard Raquel prototype player that comes probably with a little bit more bite than Raquel. You don't see Raquel fight very often, whereas Kane can do it. So
And I think actually Anaheim's got themselves in a position now where they're actually making a run for a playoff spot yet. So they'd be less inclined to start getting rid of some of their guys.
Yeah. No, the John Gibson talk, I think, has been pretty much put to bed.
Dead, which is unfortunate because, man, I would love to see him as an Oiler. Geez, that would have been a good one. I think that window closed as soon as Anaheim started catching fire a bit.
Yeah.
You got to start looking. That's the thing. You're going to have to look at goalies that are on the bottom feeding teams. Steele went off the Montreal roster, Arizona roster, whatever. They got an influx of goalies there because of all the injuries they've had. But I don't know what the solution is. I'd hate to be Ken Holland now because the pressure is on him for sure. We're not going to be happy. Nobody's going to be happy. The team won't be happy if we're riding Koskinen and Smith. Regardless of how Koskinen is playing now, we all know he doesn't sustain this. And if we've made it clear that he's a good backup. He's a really good backup, but this is not a guy who's going to carry you into that deep Stanley Cup playoff run. He doesn't have it in him. That's not his makeup. He's a great supporting goalie. He can take you on little stretches, but he's going to have to win you 16 games in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, if this season is kind of, well, really the last 2 years have taught us anything, it's once again that goalies are voodoo, and while he's hot you ride it, and when he's not you try to make other plans. The other plans this year have not really panned out so well because the other plans have been hurt most of the season. So I don't know, that move today of signing this other guy to a PDO in Bakersfield is interesting, because that makes me think that Stuart Skinner's here for more than just a couple days.
Well, you're breaking that news to me, Dursa. I didn't hear about that at all. So
I'll just have to. You know what? I'll take a quick second here and.
That Konovalov there, he's a potential stud in the making too. He's been playing the number 2 role for Skinner, but he's the number 1 guy when Skinner gets called up, and he's playing well there. So if Skinner stays up, that means we're putting somebody on LTIR then for Skinner to stay.
Konovalov actually started tonight in Bakersfield. The Condors have signed goaltender Jake Theo to a PDO from the Wichita Thunder. He'll wear number 35. And I got cats that are wanting to scrap again tonight. Black Masakari says Bear getting out of town by some racists could have happened anywhere, sadly. Unfortunately, racism associated with hockey and just racism in general is still something that's a part of society, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. I don't know if Ethan Bear privately asked for a trade or not. You hear different reports saying no, that isn't the case, but don't know if you would actually get the honest truth on that or not. I don't know. Maybe it was just a straight hockey trade. I don't know. I liked Ethan Bear. I liked the way he played the game. I don't think he deserved to be benched for basically 3 overtime periods in a deciding game on one mistake, when veteran guys on the team kind of made mistakes too, and they didn't get to have the seat. And they're at it.
Good one.
Neil Garrity says, I wanted Gibson and Getzlaf before the season started. Imagine that. Yeah. Ryan
funny you said that.
Ryan Getzlaf as
Getzlaf was on my radar too beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Because the Ducks were supposed to be shit to begin with, and that's another guy that was gonna. He's still got some goods in him, and boy, that kind of leadership too would say a lot too. He's definitely a glue guy who's a life in the dressing room.
Yeah, and he plays like a more peripheral kind of role in Anaheim now, but if you still need a a defensive zone draw on the right hand side, him being out there would be great. Getting him to kind of accept a third and fourth line role in Edmonton is, maybe not that hard of a sell when that's basically what he's doing in Anaheim. So,
well, he's been playing up in the first line here with Troy Terry and stuff like that. I think right now Anaheim would be hesitant to get rid of him because of the mentorship he is playing for all these young guys. Because Anaheim's going to have an exciting team to come. Like they're fun to watch now. So that would have been a move. And I agree with whoever that was there about the Gibson and Get stuff, because that would have been a great off-season move to have made.
On the show, this might not mean anything to anybody, but we use what's called Restream to kind of do our podcast, and that allows us to go to YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, my Twitter, and Heavy Hockey Network Twitter, and Oilers Live Twitter if he wanted it on his Twitter account all at the same time. But Restream has been goofy tonight, so I've got the chats sometimes, and then sometimes I don't, and it's kind of been hit and miss, but it's back on working again. So
well, there's been some killer comments today for sure.
Yeah, there's 14 of you still watching steady on YouTube, and we appreciate it. Some stranger says Getzlav would have been better than Keith. I think it's more of the same, honestly. I think Ryan Getzlav is the forward version of Duncan Keith. I think I think you're kind of getting a little bit of the same thing. Getzlav can win you draws, and I think Keith can win you battles kind of behind the net and on the half wall. I noticed something tonight. When Keith gets the puck, when he goes to make a pass, it is the crispest thing ever. Like, it's on the tape, but it is a hot missile coming out, and he doesn't fuck around, and I kind of respect that. To me, it's the same thing with Duncan Keith all season. His area of concern for me is, when he's kind of at our blue line and there's kind of a young, shifty kind of forward, him sort of getting juked there or walked there. Other than that, I don't really have a lot of issues with his game. Once he gets the puck, his decision making is as good as it ever was. He can defend well, like inside the circles, and forces people wide, and is tough to play against the front of the net. He likes to use his stick. He likes to cross check. He plays a little bit of a nasty game. Probably the nastiest defenseman we have, other than Niemelainen, when it comes to. Niemelainen finishes checks, but Keith, just is hard with his stick. He's a mean son of a bitch in those tight areas.
To me, Keith is as advertised for me. We got the Duncan Keith that I thought we would have. He's been dependable. We didn't sign 25-year-old Duncan Keith. We knew that's not who we got.
Yeah.
We now have a late 30s Duncan Keith who is still effective. He won't do what he did before. No. He will do what he did before, but much when it comes to nasty stuff. He was nastier when he was younger, but he still has that nasty side to him.
Yeah.
He brings some stability in there, and I think he brings a calming presence in the dressing room. You hear these guys talk about Duncan Keith, and they're all like, I forget who mentioned it there. Yamamoto, I think, mentioned it not that long ago. How at one point, you'll see about 4 of these young defensemen all huddled around Keith's stall, just talking hockey, just talking defense, right? So he definitely has that presence and that mentorship he can bring with, because we got a young decor right now with some of the injuries we have.
I would say, Chicago, when they signed Keith to that $5.5 million a season contract, except for last year, that's a bargain. And last season he took a step back, but most of the season they were missing Taves and Kane, and really the heart of their team, and they paired Keith with kind of a rookie for most of the season. My issue with the Keith trade really is not getting Chicago to eat $1.5 million off of that deal. If you've got Duncan Keith at $4 million, I mean, that's you're doing just fine. taking the full salary is the issue I have with that whole deal. I've said that a million times, so maybe I should stop saying it. But
I know because you're paying a 35-year-old Duncan Keith 25-year-old Duncan Keith money.
And everybody lost an ego off of YouTube says we would have 3 cups in a row if we would have kept Maroon. See, if we would have signed, or if we would have took that $4 million, like if we would have got Chicago to eat that $1.5 million on Keith's deal, then we'd have the money to have Patrick Maroon still here.
But tell me he would be effective in a game like tonight, though. Like that's the kind of guy we were missing.
Patty Maroon, yeah, a little bit of pushback.
Yeah.
If you have the Cassian of old, he could have been useful tonight. And I don't know when he's back. He's skating again with a full face shield, so I don't know what the status is there.
Cassian hasn't been the same in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We are missing the nasty Cassian. So
yeah.
If he doesn't find that, I don't know. He becomes expendable.
Right. I think he's expendable anyway. It just costs too much for what you get. Neil Garrity says Getzlav would be a monster in the playoffs and may yell at Dry when he's digging it, or probably means dogging it. Take some pressure off of Connor. Getzlav's just a reliable, face-off man and veteran guy who's been through it all, knows what it takes. Like I say, it's probably similar to having Keith, but the forward version. Honestly, I think right now, I think Keith's maybe a little bit more valuable than Ryan Getzlav, but I'd still love to have Ryan Getzlav's as a part of the group for sure.
I think the only reason why I'd say Duncan Keith is more reliable than Ryan Getzlav for us right now is the fact because our D is so young and inexperienced. I think probably when it comes to just like the face-offs where we're so inconsistent at, that's where I guess I would definitely stabilize it. He'd be one of those guys who can play both a passing and a net front presence role on a power play. He's doing PK work on in Anaheim. Like he's another guy who touches every aspect of the game.
Do you know the answer to this? Because I don't. Do we have a forward that's won a cup before? And if we have, I'm guessing it's Colton Sevier might have in Pittsburgh because I know he spent some time there. But,
Got the lineup here right in front of me, and I'm gonna say none jumps out, but I'm gonna punch on Sevier's name and see what.
Yeah. Neil Garrity also says if they won't pay Markstrom more than Calgary because you can't get Chicago to retain on Keith, it's a really bad fireball move. Well, the Markstrom offer was before, it was a year before we entertained Duncan Keith.
That's right.
Yeah.
Seaver did not win a cup, so no, we have no forward that won a cup. Has won a cup.
Okay, so last summer, the Oilers tried to get Darcy Kemper, and that failed, and then later on in the summer, Duncan Keith became an Edmonton Oilers. So Keith is kind of an afterthought before the goalies, but Markstrom was already in Calgary a year before we made that move for Duncan Keith.
And the key thing surprised me. I wasn't expecting Duncan Keith to become an Edmonton Oiler when they announced. I never even heard any of the rumors about Duncan Keith coming to Edmonton. But I have not minded that sign at all.
Yeah, it's just the price. That's my only issue with it. I don't really have any issue with the player. Ryan Jackson says, didn't Archibald win one? I don't know about that one.
Oh, you know what? I didn't check Archibald's because he's on the IR. So here we go. Josh Archibald. One-time cup winner, Ryan Jackson, you the man.
Where did Archie win his cup? If he won one then?
He did win a cup. He won it with the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2017.
Okay.
He played 4 games.
Yeah, probably still got his name on it, so it counts.
Right. Jackson.
Archibald signed a 3-year entry-level contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was recalled to the Pittsburgh in late March and competed in the 2017 Stanley Cup Finals. Ryan says.
Yeah, you nailed it. I'm looking at that right now. I was just checking our active roster. I wasn't checking our the guys on the injury list. So, beauty. But, yeah, so I guess he knows what it takes to get there for sure. But he's not in the lineup, so he hasn't been able to bit much of an influence so far. So.
Yeah, I would still lean to Getzlav's experience over Archie's, but that's okay.
But we got one.
Yeah.
We got a couple. We got two of them, I guess, the D-man too. But
yeah,
that's a tricky situation. And the problem is when you get to these losing streaks, then all your flaws are just that much more amplified. And then we kind of see, oh yeah, we still suck here, and this guy's playing like crap, and it would have been nice to have gotten this guy. But
yeah,
someone, early in the season, like they kept saying, is scoring will mask a lot of your problems. And since our scoring has kind of decreased a lot, then we realized, because like Connor and Leon can't be the answer to everything. I always bring up the fact that they're the two best players in the world, and we should be winning 100%. We should be winning with the two best players in the world, but we can't expect them to do all the winning for us. So
yeah, Spector's probably gonna be on their case again.
Yeah, Connor was fine. Leon would have had a rough game, but it's gonna happen. Like, geez, even the greatest players in the game have some off nights. You play 82 games. It's gonna be a thing. So
yeah. I just I think Jay hasn't really had much time to work on everything he'd probably like to work on yet, because we're playing every other day, right? So they're not practicing very much. I think
I heard that he I think they have had 5 full practices with Jay Woodcroft so far. So that's not a whole lot of time to make too many big differences.
Yeah, I don't even think it's 5, but and you have to address the biggest areas of concern, and they probably went in with the thinking that they've had a pretty good power play. Their special teams have been pretty good, so let's focus on the other stuff. So I think that's sort of what's happened, and we've kind of neglected to add some new wrinkles to the power play. And now that we're missing Barry and Bouchard and Nuge, yeah, it just I see Leon getting the puck sort of on the half wall, and if it's late or the pass isn't right there, then he can't let the one-timer go, and it doesn't look like he can go ahead with his passes, so he just kind of does like a little backhand back to the point man, which has been kind of Nurse most of the time here. And if it's not perfect and it sort of handcuffs Nurse, or it's not even to him, it's a 2-on-1 the other way, because both forwards for the other team are right there, and they're going the other way. And Nurse is a great skater, so he can contest it and challenge it, but it's not ideal, right? It's not what you want. We're stymied a little bit on our power play. Connor's on the other side trying to force that pass all the way across the ice.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like the only one time he passes he gets now is Connor McDavid having to go through three sets of sticks. And he can get it there occasionally. Nuge definitely, like, we have 2 one-time pass options with Nuge and McDavid. Nurse and Leon don't seem to have that chemistry kind of to set up that one-time option just yet. Even Bouchard can't really find Leon well enough for that one-time option, but Nuge has that thing down pat. So
yeah,
that gives us 2 guys to utilize Leon's weapon of a shot there. But right now, Connor's the only guy who can try and set the table for him. And you're right, he's trying to force it through a pack of dogs there. Now, Nurse has had some. You brought up another good point there, how he he's a good skater, and has when the play goes off the ice there and he has to follow the play down. He's had some great plays this year where he's caught up and done a nice little stick move to remove the puck from a guy. But to have to do that 2 or 3 times a night, like, you're not just going to be able to.
Yeah, I mean, tonight, people were all over him, and he's terrible, and worst game of his life, and yada yada yada. A lot of people miss the fact that he's 6'4", I think, off skates, so he's probably 6'5", pushing 6'6" on them. Has not a Chara long stick, but he's got a long stick, and he's pretty good at keeping a lot of pucks inside the blue line that anybody else that they're going the other way. So I don't hate him on the power play. Like, I think his reads are good. He's a pretty good passer, another left-handed shot, so sometimes that's easier for Draisaitl's lefty and McDavid's a lefty, and most of the guys on the ice are lefties. So I think it's easier for a left-handed guy to pass to another left-handed guy, whereas Barry and Bouchard are both righties, so that it's good for them for one-timers. But if you're just trying to move the puck around, I think sometimes it's easier to have another left-handed shot out there. So I don't hate him on the power play, but you miss Bouchard's bomb. When Bouchard gets that thing through, it's a pretty devastating weapon to have on the power play. So I wish Nurse would kind of adopt some of that ability. But Lost in Ego says McDavid lost his game changers. He used to come up with a play or two most games that would shift the game. He doesn't have it right now. Shit makes me sad. Yeah, we all like to see Connor walk, an entire team, but it's an extraordinary talent that he has. I mean, tonight he kind of went wide, lost his balance, but still kind of had a pretty good chance. But Markstrom made a decent save on it. I mean, usually at least once or twice a game, Connor's being Connor and doing things that he can only do, but they don't always end up in the net.
I think they'll still happen from time to time, but other teams are learning how to not let that happen to them. The couple times where he did that, the one he did against the Rangers was insane. I was at that game. That's the most insane goal I've ever seen live in my life.
Yeah.
And he almost did it again a few nights later. I forget against who, LA, I think it was. He's catching them on a chain where like all 5 guys are coming up, and he goes against the grain, and they all have to backpedal, and he's going through everybody thing. So you don't see teams making that mistake anymore, right? When Connor has that puck and he's starting to get that speed going or looping in the neutral zone, you don't see them moving up anymore. Like, you'll see a couple of guys staying back. So like, coaches are so good now that they'll find ways to adapt to limit other players' strengths. So what the greats do is they then adapt their game to change that. And there's no doubt in my mind that Connor McDavid will do that. We're still going to see some of those ridiculously good goals as well, because he just has that gift. But he now also has to find other ways to generate chances and goals. So the greats do it. The greats have it in them, and so he'll find a way.
I used to love watching Hemmer too, but with Alish, he would start at the red line, and he would come back inside his own blue line a few feet, catch the puck, and go the other way, and he could stick handle in a phone booth, and he would choose paths. Sometimes you'd think he was crazy when he would kind of deke through Robin Regeer and go right in the middle of Dion Phaneuf, and sometimes he would just get murdered because he was so gutsy that he would try going between them both. And Connor's a lot like that, but he doesn't need the room to get up to full speed. Like two strides and he's gone, right? Just a breakaway speed, and it seems like he's gaining speed with the puck, versus most guys can skate really fast without it, but once they get it, they slow down. Connor can gain speed with it. I mean, and the little crossovers and just the kind of shiftiness. I mean, he's like Barry Sanders, but on ice. It's unreal, Like we are gifted to watch that guy play.
For sure. We have to keep reminding ourselves, like, we are so lucky to be able to be in the Connor McDavid era. Like, some of the stuff we've already seen him do is stuff that we've never seen anybody do before. Like he is the most, in my mind, still Wayne Gretzky's the greatest player of all time. Connor McDavid is the most skilled player of all time. I've never seen skill like this.
I think without question, Connor McDavid is the most explosive player we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Pavel Bure was pretty explosive, but I don't think it's close. A foot race, with Pavel and Connor, especially with the puck. Yeah, it's just unreal. Neil Garrity says, "Why would Dallas trade Holtby?" Yeah, I don't know if Dallas was out of the playoff picture. Yeah, but now that they're in it, I think teams now really want to have two capable goalies going into the playoffs in case a Rolison happens and one guy gets hurt.
I think that's the only reason why Holtby might not be moved. I don't doubt at all that Hall is going to ask about Holtby if he hasn't already, because Jake Ottinger is their number one guy and he's playing on fire. But Holtby's had a good season, and you're bang on right now. They're in a playoff race, and so they got nobody waiting in the wings. You're not going to get Hudobin back there. If you can somehow convince Dallas to have Hudobin be the backup to Ottinger so we can get Holtby, that'd be great. But I think they like that. They like that dynamic. Holtby's been a good mentor for Ottinger too, and still comes in and provides some solid goaltending. I'd love to see Holtby in an Oilers jersey, but yeah, again, I think we might have to give up a lot for an aging goalie at that point.
Yeah, you answered a bunch of Ryan Jackson's comments there. Some stranger says he did it again against Winnipeg. I think that's in reference to Connor going all world.
Oh, that was the one. Yeah, it wasn't Los Angeles, it was Winnipeg. Yeah.
Yeah. Neil Garrity says, to clarify, why would they trade him at the deadline? I think that's in reference to Holtby. Yeah, I'm not convinced that happens. I mean, unless you're really sweetening the deal. I think a lot of teams, want two guys. I think the Rangers are probably the same situation like we were talking about earlier. Like, I think teams now want an insurance plan. One, if their go-to guy kind of gets lit up, then you've got a capable guy to go in. But the other is if their starter gets run over or injured, like we saw in 06. I think that's how a lot of teams look at it. So, maybe a deal for the Oilers isn't with a team that's a potential contender.
No, it would have to be with like Buffalo, Montreal, Arizona, Islanders. Maybe that's where Varlamov might come into play.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that might be the most likely guy right now. But I mean, things can change. Black Mazakari off of YouTube says, could Leon and Connor lay more checks? Sometimes a perfect check looks so easy, but they do not push through fear of injury or fear of retaliation. Yeah, I think the game is... Cats are fighting again. I think the game's changed a little bit. Like, you don't see a lot of hits that are, 2-3 seconds afterwards anymore. If a guy isn't right there when the other team has the puck, a lot of hits are kind of passed by. They don't seem to finish every check like you're sort of taught in minor hockey. Like, I think if you're not in position to make that check right away, it just doesn't happen.
having said that, though, just looking online here right now, and Connor McDavid is actually 8th on the team in hits. And Draisaitl's down in 16th. I would have thought it'd be the other way around. I thought Draisaitl was threw more hits than Connor, but
well, I think it comes more to like Connor's speed. Like he's closer to the play, right? I don't think he goes really out of his way to finish every check, but if he's there, he definitely does.
Yeah, but is he a guy we really want him to be doing that? Like, You
Well,
should.
I will
I don't
say
mind.
I will say that if we're in a game that's kind of up in the air, if you see Connor McDavid finishing his checks,
Yeah,
if
okay,
you're a
yeah.
third and fourth line guy, that's going to push you to definitely finish your checks, and I think that's a good thing. But yeah, I don't think you need him running around.
Yeah. No, you make a good point. Yeah, for sure. Especially like in a playoff drive, you get inspired when you see your elite players start throwing body checks around, right? So
Neil says Dallas is ahead of us in the standings, and he's played 20 plus games. I think that's in reference
Holtby.
to Holtby again. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he's played well too. So I think Dallas would be hesitant to move him. He'd be a good fit with the Oilers, but he's apparently a good fit in Dallas too. So
Ryan Jackson says Neil Ottinger is their number one starter, and if we give Dallas a piece they need for their playoff run, then why not? You don't need three goalies. Um, my question to that is, what's the piece you're giving up for Braden Holtby, and does Braden Holtby move the needle more than Mikko and Stuart Skinner? And I'm not sure the answer to that.
Skinner is the best goalie we have of the three. My only concern of putting the number one mantle on Skinner right now is it's going to be fly or die with him then. He either becomes the next Patrick Waugh for this miracle playoff run, or we kill the guy. We wreck him and we shatter his confidence. I want Skinner to be our number one goalie from the beginning of a season. I'd love for him to come out of camp next year to be our number one goalie, and then we ride by him. I think it's almost unfair to throw that mantle on him now with all the pressure and expectations we have, because the Oilers are in a win now kind of phase, kind of window. Like, do we really want to put it on that guy? He actually had a brief chance to grab that ball earlier this season when Smith got hurt for the second time. And Costin was struggling. We called Stuart Skinner up, and it was all over Twitter, all over the message boards. They were like, Skinner's here to save the day. I said, this is his time to grab the reins, be your number one. And he shit the bed against Ottawa.
I wouldn't say shit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say shit the bed. I'll give him a little bit more than that, but he never just really put the hammer down, right?
He didn't.
For me, I think I've seen enough out of Skinner to be comfortable with him being a backup next year, but I don't think I've seen enough out of him to say, yeah, give him the reins, let him run with it, and away we go. I think he needs somebody capable with him to get into a 1A, 1B sort of scenario. But I haven't seen enough where I'm confident with him being, our starting goalie on a year where, if we're not where we need to be this year, then next year is even more important. And
oh yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're bashful right now to give him too much. I think next year is even. I mean, that's putting more pressure on him because it just, as we keep kind of rolling it over from year to year, I think more pressure comes to get things done for this franchise, because the longer you go without Connor and Leon having any really any success, I don't think it's a good thing.
The reason why I like it more at the beginning of the season for Skinner is that we give him a bigger window. Here we have such a short window to make a
there's more time for correction.
Yeah.
Neil Garrity says, I think every player on the Oilers needs to finish their checks. They don't have to be killers. Just finish your check on every play. Yeah, I don't know. Like, sometimes trying to finish every check puts you out of position. I agree with that theology in the playoffs. I think you want to finish every check and you want to make it count. Almost adopt like a 90s Oilers kind of style where you try to pound the other team into submission. But I think in some regular season games, if you're kind of going out of your way to finish some checks, you're probably giving up odd man opportunities the other way.
I think Neil is bang on, though, for like a game like today. A game like today is where we could have used more guys just finishing their checks. I saw I saw McLeod turn away from checks. I saw Derek Ryan turn away from checks that they could have just finished on, just to even make a statement or even just be harder to play against. Vogel, who's actually in our top 3 for body checks, I saw him turn away from 2 checks today.
Yeah,
and that's something that Yamamoto turned away from a check, and he never turns away from anybody. Like, it just wasn't there today.
It's kind of actually a rarity that Ryan McLeod actually does finish any check.
Maybe.
He's a good skater and plays a pretty responsible game, but it's not often you see him doling out any hits. Neil Garrity says any goalie we get at the deadline will have fewer wins than Koskinen. Maybe, but I think what's important is trying to strengthen your tandem. If you can do that, you're improving your team, and I think that's got to be the goal.
I think Neil, you're bang on, but you'll also see that anybody with he also has the worst other numbers in that win in the wins column. All right, from guys who have as many wins as he does. His save percentage is the worst from those wins. Yeah. His goals against average is the worst from all those guys that have the same amount of wins as he does. Like, his quality starts, he has 50% of his starts have been quality starts. That's a deplorably low number.
Yeah, and really most of his quality starts have come late here. I think he was the beneficiary early of torrid special teams. So, people said, look at his record. Well, yeah, okay, he's winning games, and I guess that's the most important thing. But look at how we were winning those games. Our 5-on-5 was junk, but our special teams were unreal. And McDavid and Draisaitl were playing at 200 point a season pace, early on. So it wasn't sustainable.
There's still something said though for the 19 wins he does have. That is a good number, and you still have to play your part to get those 19 wins. But it does kind of get. It is the most important stat for sure. But there's definitely other goalies that have played less games that probably could have had more wins than.
If we miss the playoffs, though, it's not the fault of Mikko Koskinen. It's the fault of Mike Smith. I'll make that point.
It's probably a bigger fault of Ken Holland not being able to come up with a solution for that.
Yeah. Mr. T says, so looking forward to the draft. What are we going for? Yeah. I'm not there yet. I want a playoff team, so I'm not thinking about the draft yet. Black Mazakari says, but they are tiny hits. Yeah, I mean, anytime you can, get a hit as a stat, I'll take it. I'm when I play NHL hockey with my son or whatever, I'm trying to get 100 hits in a game for my team. So I love body checks for sure, and I think it definitely plays a role. But like I say, sometimes you can be running around just looking for a hit and kind of get out of position and give up chances the other way. But when you're not beating teams 5-1, you might as well be physical and try to leave a little bit of an impact. Koskinen is not going to get her done. He's a good backup. That's it. Yeah, I'll give him a little bit more credit than that. I think he's probably a capable 1B if you have a capable 1A. If he gets every third start, I think you're in good shape. But trying to go every other night with him or have him go on a 5-game run, I think is asking for trouble. I think when he's rested, he's a pretty good goalie, and the next 2 starts, there's time in between. I don't know. Do you go back to him against Washington, or do you get Skinner in there?
He played good. I want to see Skinner play one before he gets sent down. Again, there's speculation how long he stays up here. If we have Skinner up here for a while longer, I would give. If Skinner's going to be up here for 2 weeks, I would give Koskinen in the next game and then put Skinner in after that.
Yeah, I'm with you. What I don't want to see is Mike Smith play Tampa Bay again. That's what I don't want to see. I don't want to
Yeah.
see Smith get the net against Tampa Bay again. I saw enough of that in Tampa Bay the first time. I don't want a repeat performance of that. I know that. So, yeah, I thought Koskinen, was good tonight. I don't really fault him really for anything. The only thing is kind of that breakaway of Goodrow's where he was in the splits and Goodrow kind of went around him still. That was the only one that sort of bothered me, but it's just basically because Mikko's so big that it seems like it should be physically impossible when he's in a full split for somebody to go around him. But yeah, I don't fault him for that. That goal's on Nurse. I think I probably would go to Skinner against the Capitals, give him that game, and go back to Mikko against the Bolts, whether Mike Smith's healthy or not.
I'm good with that. I think Skinner needs to have at least a game before he gets sent down again. I think we're wasting him up here. He has been our best goalie this year. It's just young.
That PTO or PDO or whatever, I think it's professional tryout, in Bakersfield is kind of interesting. Like, that makes me think that Stewart might be up here a little bit longer than, a couple days. So the whole Mike Smith's stomach
if
flu.
He's here longer, man, goodness, if he was up here for like 3 weeks or so, he actually does then hopefully get the opportunity to maybe take a stab at those number one reigns, see if he has the goods to carry the thing. So it'd be proving ground for him.
Yeah.
If he's given the opportunity to prove it.
Or you know what, even just being Mikko's like right hand, I'm cool with that too. Like, we know that Mikko can't handle just being run till the end of the season, like he's Martin Brodeur or something. So if Stewart's kind of the relief every other game, or you let one guy go till he loses or whatever, I'm good with that actually. Till the deadline or the end of the season, if that's what it is. Holtby would be a great tandem with Skinner.
Well, if we get Holtby, then Skinner wouldn't be part of the tandem. Skinner would be back in Bakersfield.
Yeah, I think it'd be Holtby and Mikko, and you're doing something with Mike Smith, putting him on LTIR.
Going back to Neil's earlier comment about Mikko's wins. So he has 19 wins on the year. There's 15 goalies in the league that have 19 wins on the year, at least 19 wins in the year. Of those 15 goalies, Mikko is second last in goals against average, second last in save percentage, second last in quality starts. So, he has some of the worst numbers for the goalies that have 19 wins, and 19 wins is important for sure. But like Hellebuck has 18 wins, and he's got way better other numbers than Koskinen.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that Hellebuck's a worse goalie than Mikko. So.
Yeah. So you have to do a little bit more than just look at how many wins the guy has to kind of see where you're at. But I mean, not to run Mikko in any further than he's been run.
Well, and the thing is, I like Mikko, and I will say. There was a comment earlier made that Mikko's a backup, and that's about it. You were arguing that he'd be more of a 1A, 1B. I tend to lean towards more the backup thing. Like, Mikko is the guy that, to me, it wouldn't just be a good backup; he'd be a great backup.
Yeah.
If we got Mikko Koskinen, I'm a strong believer. I'm not the biggest fan of the tandem 1A, 1B thing. I like the starter backup mentality, but you need to play the backup enough to know that he can come in for it if need be. And by enough, I mean he's got to be played at least a quarter of the game. So over an 82 game season, that's 21 games. Your backup should be playing at least 21 games. So a 21 game Mikko Koskinen probably gets you some damn good results.
Yeah.
But the problem is we don't have a starter that can do the other 61 games.
Yeah. No, there's
I think
problems.
the tandem thing should be more of a necessity. Like like arguably Vasilevsky's one of the best goalies. Well, he is one of the best goalies, but a lot of them consider him to be the best goalie in the league. He's a
Uh,
clear number one. He's not doing a tandem system. Freddie Anderson is having a phenomenal year. He's a clear number one. There's no tandem system there. Shesterkin. You look at Bobrovsky. Some of these guys that are the best goalies in the world right now are the clear number one guy.
yeah. PJ Delta off of YouTube. Now we're attracting Flames fans. He says, as a Flames fan, I hope Oilers go for Holtby. It's Smith 2.0. Yeah, I don't think so. There's a different mentality there with both of those.
Well, here's the thing. We're looking at Mike Smith of 2022, and Mike Smith of 2022 is not a good Mike Smith. Mike Smith of 2021 was a phenomenal Mike Smith, a Mike Smith that nobody really expected, I don't think. Like, he played fantastic. He outplayed Holtby by far last year. Holtby had a rough year in Vancouver. Holtby's playing well in Dallas. And I think the other thing that Holtby brings is he knows what it takes to win in the playoffs. Like, Mike Smith's never gone further than the conference finals, and he went there once.
We'll probably go for another 10 minutes here because we're actually fucking gaining viewers here as we're crossing the midnight hour. I think we've blew past overtime open line and all that for post-game shows. But I think there's a different temperament between Braden Holtby and Mike Smith for one. But what do you think? Like, Dash will say, last year with the All-Canadian division, travel was not the same, sleeping in your bed more, taxi squad goalies were practicing, so basically making it out to be last year was easier than this year. I don't know. Now we're getting back into full capacity buildings. You're traveling to the States. You're not all in the same conference.
I think it could play a factor, especially for a guy who's like 38, 39. It's going to play a factor because anything let's face it, crossing time zones and flying isn't exactly the most comfortable lifestyle, and they're no longer flying in comfy private jets kind of thing. So, with the luxuries of everything, so it's going to be a bit harder. So that could probably play a role. Maybe that was one of the reasons why Mike Smith had a great year last year, because he got to sleep in his bed more. But having said that, the All-Canadian division had to travel more than any other division in the NHL last year. They still were crossing more time zones than the other division in the NHL.
Right.
So it's probably played a factor. I don't think it's a huge difference maker in that way. I think anything more, the injuries this year that Mike Smith cannot recover from, and I would go to my grave saying Mike Smith is still suffering from even his first injury of the year. I don't think he's ever fully recovered.
Yeah.
And because his body can't do it, and he's trying to push through it, and I'll give him kudos for that. But in the long run, it might end up hurting the team more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Another year older, and if it was a groin earlier, I mean, I know from personal experience that doesn't heal like right away. That sometimes takes years to really get over, right? Like,
oh yeah.
And if you're playing, and especially if you're playing goal and that side to side, I mean, you just reopen it or re-aggravate it, and yeah.
Well, or you'll get that twinge too. You'll just get that twinge that kind of gets you second guessing yourself next time too. So yeah. I mean, again, this is and the age does come into play there. It takes longer for our body to heal the older you get, and Mike Smith is definitely in that slower healing category. That's for sure.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Early on, I thought it was a groin injury, and Jason Gregor tried to say it was a ankle injury, and I don't know. To me, if it's an ankle, 4 to 6 weeks, you're back, you're good. That's okay, and you're all right. But you and I know if it's a groin injury, every time you catch your skate in a rut, you re-aggravate it. And how often does that happen? Especially as a goalie, it's fucking every game.
I snapped when I was playing for the Athletics. I snapped my groin once. It was like a rubber band and I was out for a month for sure. And I forced myself to come back and basically just lied, saying I'm good to go. I wasn't good. Like, I could feel my groin for the whole next year even.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still remember that pain, and the groin is still the thing that I stretch the most. Like, even when I'm just playing ball or whatever, like,
yep.
It's the first thing that'll stiffen up if I don't stretch, right? So
you've played in the Dave Bar Arena, right?
Oh yeah, I love that. It's a good ice. I love that ice there.
Yeah, I was between the red line and the blue line, and I was skating forwards, and I just turned to skate backwards, and just barely caught my skate in a bit of a rut. I didn't fall down or anything, but that's all it took to rip my groin. And that season, I must have like pulled it 3 or 4 different times, and honestly, it took about 4 years for it to get back to normal, and I still. And that's going back probably 16 years, and I still like worry about it. I haven't really done anything since, but you still like, worry about it because it's just such a nagging injury, and it sucks. And you can try to play through it, but when you're turning like forward to backward or backward to forward and all that, it just
I think groin and lower back are probably the worst for nagging injuries. You'll carry those with you for years. So.
Yeah, and I don't know. To me, that's there was a play early in the season where Smith, I think he made a save or was gonna make a save, and somebody landed on his back, and it just that's when he went out the first time, and I don't know. I think there's been a groin thing there all season. I mean, Gregor tried to say it was an ankle, but yeah, I don't know. I don't believe it.
Whatever. The groin's a likely story. I would believe that over the ankle. I don't ever think he's recovered 100% from that first injury. Then he had a second injury, so that's going to add things. And we all saw him tweak something this last game.
Yeah, and the second injury, they tried to tell us that was a hand injury, like he broke a finger or something like that. And
well, that's fine, but you're still going to take longer to heal.
Yeah, I don't know.
It adds up. And when you're 39, you feel those little things a lot more worse than you did when you were 19.
Yeah, I mean, if he broke a finger or something, then that would affect his, catching or blocker or whatever. But I think you'd get through that. But yeah, just the movement, like when he was in Tampa, the movement was just he doesn't look comfortable in there. So there's something bothering him. Maybe he's always been a little unorthodox in there, but he just does not move fluently at all in the net. And when Mikko's looking more fluent than you like that tells me something.
Mike Smith has never been what you call a smooth goalie. He's always been kind of choppy, and he's always had an aggressive style. And I think his choppiness or his non-smoothness, I'm not worried about that as much as the fact that he no longer looks as aggressive as he did even last year.
Yeah, he's timid. He's timid in there.
Yeah, he's a lot more timid in there. And there's no doubt in my mind that the injuries are also affecting his confidence. He knows he's hurting. You can feel those injuries even when you're playing. Like in between whistles, you're like, oh my goodness, that one hurt. He's not coming out past the blue paint to challenge shooters as much anymore as he did even last year. So, yeah, I think Mike Smith is on his last legs. Unfortunately, we have him under contract for next year yet too.
Yeah.
But this could be one of those things where it's a buyout option, right? So.
Yeah, or he waves the white flag and shuts her down himself.
Maybe.
Black Mazakari says golden rule: don't play Koskinen 2 in a row, don't play Smith 3 in a row, don't play Skinner 4 in a row. You might see a scenario here where it's you're in the net until you lose a game, but I don't know. Unless it's a back-to-back situation, but I don't know.
That might be your best bet. It might be like. I agree with what you said earlier. I think right now Mikko is our number one. He is playing like it, but we also all know that this is not something that he sustains. So
Yeah.
he's our number one in brackets.
Yeah, ride it until it goes south.
Yeah.
Neil says making a hit, even a small one, takes the other guy out of the play for a second or two. We let guys at our D too easily. We need to make it harder for the other team. We should make them make mistakes. Yeah, up the forecheck pressure for sure, and try to cause turnovers.
Neil is bang on that we need to make it harder for other teams to play against us. We do make things a lot too easy for them.
Yeah, the Kane acquisition I think helps with that, and maybe if they can get Archibald into the lineup, adding another physical presence will help. Honestly, earlier before Tippett was fired, and he had the hard practice midway through the season, I think it was in December, and Colton Sevier busted his stick over his knee like he was Bo Jackson because Slater Cuckoo actually finished a hard check on him in practice. That kind of shit really pissed me off. Anyway, I don't want to talk about Tippett anymore. He's gone. Black Mazakari says, I get the you can't run all over the ice to look for a check, but sometimes this situation is just right for a check and they still don't finish it. Yeah. No, I mean, if you're not taking yourself totally out of everything, by all means, finish that check. That's kind of hockey I grew up in. I mean, my minor hockey career was in basically Sedgwick, Alberta, and it was up against, Viking 40 minutes away. So Sutter hockey is what I know, and you never wanted to go into Viking with a short bench, or you were not likely to survive the game. I remember a guy on my team, his name was Claude Jeffcoat, get sent out onto the ice, get helicopter hip checked, the wind knocked out of him. He would collect himself, go onto the bench and be sucking wind, and our coach would go up to him and just slam him on the back and knock the wind back into him and get out there. And then he'd get hip checked again, go for the ride, and same routine, and by the end of the game you thought he was dead. So I know all about the physical hockey, and I'm a big fan of that. So yeah, I'm all for finishing your checks, but if you're running around just to make a hit, I don't think your skill guys need to be doing that.
But there's a time and place for that. Like also for a game like this where you feel it slipping away, why not put your fourth line out there to do just that?
Yeah.
Run around and throw some hits around, like get the game back.
Yeah. And that comes like a little bit to how your fourth line's constructed a little bit too. Like tonight, I think it was Benson, Malone, and maybe Sevier was the fourth line. Benson, doesn't usually shy away from finishing his checks. Brad Malone, I mean, that's his career, and Sevier should be that guy. He should be the guy that's looking to finish every check. So I don't think they're bone crushers by any means, but Benson can be. I mean, he's delivered some pretty decent checks this year. But yeah, no, yeah.
They don't need to be bone crushers, and like this guy was saying, it takes the other guys or the player for a temporary second. Also, those hits add up.
Yeah.
If you can hit 8 times in a game, like not only does it get to you physically, it gets to you mentally. Like, so.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got somebody on that line that can finish too, you start laying out those kind of checks, and they cough the puck up, and you got a pretty good chance. I think that Shore was a little bit of the recipient of that. That Nurse dump in was pretty hard. I think that's what really we were dogging Nurse most of the night. But if he did anything right tonight, it was that dump in on that play, because he just hammered it in. Markstrom went to play the puck and didn't even really look, and he fired it right into the ref's skate, and I think that went right to Derek Ryan. Ryan pounded it on net. Markstrom gives up a juicy rebound, and Shore bangs it home. And then Markstrom gives the ref a look. JT off of YouTube says, need more D-men that can hit. Would you guys like to see the Oil trying to get Ben Sherratt for first or second round draft pick? You're shaking your head. If you're going to be doling out first round picks, I think it's that Jacob Chikrin out of the Coyotes, that might be the guy to pursue.
He's definitely more first line or first pick, second round kind of material. I actually think Sherratt to me is he's a third pairing. He's kind of like a
that's too high a price then for a third pairing guy.
It is, and he's a good player, but I do think that Sherratt is a bit overrated. I don't know, he's on everybody's trade bait list right now, and I don't think he brings anything more than what we already have. Do we need our D-men to hit more? Yeah, and I think that'll come. I mean, you see Niemelainen throwing his body around. Lagesson, actually, who isn't a hitter at all, has thrown more hits since Woody's taken over. Broberg should be hitting more and probably will as he gains his confidence and what have you. We have the guys that can hit. Sherratt hits, but what else does he really bring to the table?
Right.
Not first round, second round draft pick material.
I'm very comfortable with Niemelainen being your physical presence, bringing body checks. If we can make the playoffs and he can gain experience as we go along here, I don't mind him as the third pairing guy. That's the bone crusher. I mean, to me, that guy has like shades of Brian Marchment, Jason Smith in him, and I love the way he finishes. Steve A says, "Oh boy, playoffs are starting to look grim." Yeah, we've kind of been around this a little bit tonight, but we are definitely on the outside looking in. But I don't think it's doomsday scenario yet. This season has been a roller coaster ride. I mean, we started on fire, then went in the tank and picked up a couple of wins, went in the tank again, got rid of Tippett, and went on a bit of a hot streak. And it's kind of been up and down. So now we've dropped 3. I think it's time to turn it around and go on another little run here. We had a good game with Tampa Bay when we were down there. If we would have got a little bit more goaltending, I think we walk out of there with a win. So I kind of like our chances in that game, because I don't think whoever plays that game will be as bad as what Smith was down there. And Washington, I think, is ripe for the picking when they come here. I think they play Calgary tomorrow, so they'll be on the back end of a back-to-back. So
we'll play Calgary tomorrow,
yeah, I think that's a must-win game, and I think it's a winnable game. Rob Sorias, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, says give Leon and Connor their own PP units next game and spread the wingers up front over 3 lines with McDavid, Draisaitl, and McLeod at evens. Yeah, I don't think I would really run away from Connor and Leon on the same power play unit. You might want to start kind of your second unit and be a little deceptive about it if you can, just to get the other team's best penalty killers out against your second unit, and then go to your first unit. After that, play a little cat and mouse game if you can. A little bit of that, but I think we need to load up and start to score goals. I think by trying to make 2 sort of even power play units, I think you kind of water down what you can have on your top unit, and that to me is not something I would do. But I mean, I'm open to everybody having an opinion. What do you think?
Well, having said that, though, I think at this point, I'm with you on that. You want your biggest guns out there for the longest period of time to give you the best chance of scoring. But that's the key word, scoring.
Yeah.
If we're not scoring, then I'm open to whatever. I mean, maybe that is something we try down the road to see, well, are we getting different matchups with their PK compared to our PP there that might be working more effectively with Draisaitl carrying this line, McDavid carrying that line. Who knows? But
I
that's an if we don't start scoring here right away, then we gotta look at every option.
I think Bouchard will be back too, so it's it's another. I think he just had a little bit of a sickness tonight. I don't think it was COVID, and
well, he's got the stomach flu that apparently Mike Smith has as well.
Yeah,
what they're trying to tell us. So
stomach flu. I think Bouchard will be back against Washington, and that's gonna change the dynamic a little bit. You'll have that heavy shot at the point again, and nothing against Nurse, but I think that opens up a few more things. Like I think on either side, I think McDavid will have a little bit more ice, and Leon as well on the right side there. So I think that changes things. But yeah, I don't know.
It's not that Nurse doesn't deserve playoff or power play time, and you mentioned that before too. It does give you different luck with a right-handed shot. I still think Nurse should be like on the PP2. Unit for sure. As we mentioned before, this game is an anomaly. We don't normally see Nurse play this bad.
Yeah.
And on the PP, he was terrible in the PP as well. So it's just one of those games where we can't just say this is how Nurse is on the PP. No, it is. It's just how he was today on the PP.
Yeah, he struggled today. Neil Garrity says, I like Mikko. This is Holland's fault, not Mikko's. My point is we could end up with worse.
We definitely could. And I like Mikko as well. And you're right. It's not Mikko's fault. Mikko is thrown in this situation, and this is now last year too. He had to carry the bulk load there at one point before Mike Smith got healthy, and that's a lot just to start the season. Then that's a lot.
I think
that's a lot to ask for the guy.
I think there's a bit of a reality check for Mikko Koskinen with his time in Edmonton here. I don't think he's playing in the NHL if Peter Chiarelli doesn't sign him to what he signed him to, but he's not a $4.5 million goaltender, and that's not his fault. I mean, nope. Chiarelli offered that and he accepted it, but I kind of think that if Chiarelli didn't offer that, he's not playing in the NHL. He's still playing in the KHL. And really, I guess for us, that might have put us in a worse position than we're in right now. So I don't really fault Mikko. He is what he is. And like you say, like he's either a really good backup or kind of a borderline capable 1B. Like last season, him and Mike Smith were a great tandem. This season, Mike Smith's had his troubles, and Mikko's, had some struggles, but also had some pretty solid work. So,
he's had some amazing games.
Yeah,
he's had some spectacular games.
I don't hate the guy. I don't hate Mike Smith either. He is what he is, but I wish we had, a little bit better. I'm
actually I'm a Mike Smith fan. I have been for years since his Arizona days. I became a fan of him. I've always liked the way he played, like the way he battles. So. Yeah, I don't just say it off the cuff when I say that he's falling short. That's just the reality of it. He's falling short. No matter how much I like Mike Smith, he's not doing the job. And when he's in net, I don't have confidence in him. Like, I don't. Which Mike Smith are we going to get this game? Like, it's few and far between.
If you could rewind things a little bit here and go back a few seasons in the past and still have Cam Talbot and Laurent Brossoit as your goalies, with a little bit more even distribution now, I think you'd be in better shape.
One of the things that I disliked there for the longest time is how we were not utilizing our backup goalies.
Yeah.
So we're not giving them enough time. Brossoit never got to find his game here because we didn't give enough ice time. We had Jan Denis here for a while too, and he was pretty good little goalie. We never gave him any ice time. So our backup goalies have always been not given enough. for the most part. Smith and Kosman's kind of been the anomaly now. Where okay, finally we're playing two goalies, but they're just both not good enough. Cam Talbot gave us great goaltending for, I'd say, about 2.5 seasons. In fact, that one season, I felt like he should have been at least nominated for a Vezina. He was phenomenal. This is going to sound awful. I honestly think one of the difference was when he got twins. For sure. I don't think he was not getting as much sleep at home anymore. Yep. He has other parenting duties, and rightfully so. Like, you got to be a dad. Like,
that combined with us doling him out there like he was the second coming of Grant Fuhr and could play 80 games in a season out of 82.
We didn't rest him enough. He wasn't getting enough rest at home.
Yeah.
He's one of those goalies that we ended up just killing in the end, and he couldn't find his game anymore. When we moved Talbot, it was the right time to move him. We weren't getting the goaltending from him anymore that we needed. I love the fact that he's found a game in Minnesota. I think what's happened there is, number one, he's not Kakman's playing his share of games. He got a quality backup in there. He's getting ice time. He's getting some rest. But also by now he's used to having twins, little kids and stuff like that. So he's found that balance. And he can put the proper focus in each.
They're not so little anymore either. There's they're at the age
exactly.
where they're sleeping through the night. And
you've had babies. I've had babies. That's a huge adjustment for one baby when you get one baby. Yeah. And now all of a sudden the twins going on. It's a difference maker. And then you don't get rest anywhere. I think it just wore on him, and it was time to move him. So
the boys on YouTube are chatting about Fleury again, and Ryan Jackson says Fleury isn't going to leave Chicago. I heard he just got a new set of team colored pads. Well, buzz today was actually that he's going to end up in Toronto. I actually don't see Fleury staying in Chicago that much longer. I think he is going to be on the move. I would be surprised if he's a member of the Blackhawks after the deadline myself, but you never know.
He is known as one of the most ultimate team guys in the NHL.
Yeah.
And so when they ask him questions about potential getting traded, he's going to say, "Oh, I'm all Blackhawks. I'm Blackhawk here. This is where I'm going to focus on." He's going to say all the right things.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing, but. I'm with you. I wouldn't be that surprised if he gets moved because he's coming off a Vezina year. He's still showing some flashes of the old Marc-Andre Fleury. I think he could find that drive for a playoff run where he finds a bit of a fountain of youth there to say, "Oh, I know what I'm supposed to do here." So he's got the potential to give somebody a big boost, and I still haven't also ruled out that he could somehow become an Oiler. I haven't ruled that out yet either.
I'm
crossing fingers. I'm crossing toes. I'm crossing everything that I can cross. So
I would love to see that, but I have, I've got oceanfront property in Wembley, Alberta for sale if you think he's going to be an Oiler.
I didn't say that I'm putting money on it. I said I'm crossing everything in the hopes. This is one of those things where it's totally based on my hope than anything more realistic, but.
Ryan Jackson says Smith yelling at the young D isn't a positive either.
Okay, so I got something about that. So the reports of Mike Smith yelling at his D-men that game came from Keith Jones, who was in between the benches. So that's why everybody's confirming that must have happened because Keith Jones is down on the ice and he must have heard it. Well, you know what? Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. It's also pretty loud down there, and the place is full of 12,000 people. And yeah, you're down on the ice, but Mike Smith's on the far end of the ice, on the bench, talking to his D-man.
He's
Mike Smith,
80 to 100 feet away from that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're looking at his actions, and he's an animated character. He's a passionate character. He's when he's talking, you can see his head nodding quite a bit. So it could even look like he's yelling or pointing. Never ever and I've looked this up because this was a thing going on Twitter for a while, especially on that game where he got basically accused of yelling at his players. I see no reports anywhere of Mike Smith yelling at his players, or of him having a reputation of yelling at his players. It's always been about how passionate he is, or how competitive he is, and that sort of thing. Now, having said that, I'm not saying he did yell at his players or anything like that, right? I'm just saying it's not confirmed, and he doesn't really have a history of it. We are going totally off of previous stories of fans saying, of course, look at him. Every time he lets in a goal, he's looking around for a defenseman to blame or shaking his head at his defenseman. Is that what he's doing? I know one time in particular when I was playing senior hockey, I got accused of bitching at my defenseman or blaming my defenseman for goals that went in. Not the case at all. I've had some shitty defensemen, and I've never blamed it on them. They've also had a shitty goalie behind them at times, namely myself or whatever. Where I get pissed off that I let in a goal. So when you see me angry on the ice, shaking my head or that sort of thing, I'm pissed off at myself. I'm not pissed off at my defenseman at all. Do I think they could have done it better? Yes, but I'm not going to do that out on the ice, really, or even yell at them in the room. That'd be something I would just talk to them for. Mike Smith is a professional goalie. He's passionate. He's competitive. I guarantee you he's more mad at himself when that's in the goal than he is a defenseman. He probably says things to his D-men, offers some tips, advice, tells them what to do. Also, I'm not saying 100% for sure he didn't yell at him, but I don't think he has a reputation for that.
I kind of have a hard time thinking that it would be like, get the fuck out of the way. Like that kind of stuff, I don't see that happening.
He's been in the league long enough. He's had some shitty defensemen too. I think he's professional enough not to be that guy to say you're fucking useless. Get out of my face, kind of thing. So
yeah, like the other night that goal that where Niemelainen just kind of hand grenaded it up the boards there, and actually set a pretty good screen on Smith.
Yeah.
I can see kind of a conversation there, like, you're right in the way. I can see that happening, but I think Smith probably takes a bit of ownership for that one too, because he's buried right on the red line. He's not out. He's not aggressive himself. So I don't know. It's hard to judge from here in my living room when the games at Rogers, but
if we're just watching on TV, you see his head nodding as he's talking to somebody, and it looks aggressive, that sort of thing. Then you're like, oh my goodness, he's yelling at his defenseman.
To me though, that kind of stuff is secondary to the him just not being on the top of his game. To me, 100%. That's the most important problem that he's got. If he's hard on people or whatever. As a player, you can handle somebody being hard on you if they're doing their job. If they're not doing their job and they're hard on you, then you kind of take a little bit of offense to that. But if what they're telling you is justified, I think you could take constructive criticism. If you're a professional athlete, you better be able to, or you don't get to that level. So I don't put a lot of stock in that kind of stuff anyway, whether it's true or whether it isn't. To me, that's a secondary problem to his game just not being where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Which compounds the problem, I guess. But Black Mazakari says would make sense if he yelled. Frustration does these sorts of things even when you should be above that. Yeah, on one hand, Grant Fuhr was great because he was harder on himself, and he would say, even if you screen him, that I should have had it anyway. Not everybody has Grant's temperament, and you can deal with what Grant's putting out there too, but I think you can also deal with somebody that cares, and it's not that Grant didn't care, but he just kind of everything rolled off his back. If somebody's intense and into it, I think you can appreciate that as a player as well. So, yeah, to me, it's not It's not what a lot of people want to make it out to be. To me, the biggest problem with Mike Smith isn't barking at defensemen if that's going on. It's that his play is substandard.
And I know we're going off on a tangent there to defend Mike Smith. And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying he didn't do that. I'm just saying that let's get it, like...
We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah. We can assume, but we don't know.
Keith Jones doesn't know. He made an estimate as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's pretty hard to really know what's going on, from the red line. Neil Garrity says, I've been rightfully yelled at by goalies. Sometimes I deserved it. Sometimes they yelled back. At least he cares. Yeah. No, I mean, if he is yelling and if he is barking, it does show a care factor. I think as a player, like I said, though, if his play is substandard and he's the one barking all the time, it kind of gets blown off a little bit. It doesn't have the same effect. Whereas if he's lights out and other people are, in his way or whatever, then
Yeah, you're making it worse if you're playing like shit and then also yelling.
Yeah. Black Mazakari says, Marcus is a big boy. He'll survive. Yeah, exactly. I mean, your confidence isn't going to be ruined by a goalie barking at you.
No, I guarantee you, Marcus knew what he did wrong. Marcus knew what he did wrong. He knew he gave the puck away, and he knew he screened his goalie. I guarantee you that affected him more than what anybody was yelling at him, supposedly.
Yeah.
You know what you did. When you're out there, you know what you did wrong. You know how you screwed up. And you're pissing yourself. Somebody yelling at you, whatever.
Yeah, and you're going to go into the room. You're going to see the tape of it. You're going to relive that a million times, and you're already reliving it in your head. And I mean, that's how you learn. So whatever. This has been quite the show. We we went over the 2-hour mark. I think we're into almost 2 hours and just shy of 20 minutes, like 2:16.
You're cutting into my monthly shower.
Yeah, I'm overheating. I'm three beers deep and out of beers. So if you got any last words or prediction for Wednesday against the Caps, let her fly, and then I'll close us down.
Prediction 4-3 Oilers. That's my prediction.
We're gonna score some goals. I like the sounds of that. I hope you're right. I'm getting tired of predicting games because I don't like it when I'm wrong.
I might not pick a player. I might not pick a first star because, again, today I picked Legason and he goes -1. Although one of them was Nurse's fault more, but there you see Legason in the frame when we scored against. Way to go, Bob. So
Not Doc's finest hour tonight, but that happens. Ryan Jackson says 6-2 Capitals. I think Edmonton does get a win, but I'm not going to give you a score because I'm not sure what it will be. I don't see our power play going 0 again. I think they figure that out and get it on the board.
We're getting a PP goal against Washington as well.
YouTube tonight, you've been extremely active, anywhere from 7 to almost 20 viewers, I think, and consistently above 10 for most of the night and through a 2-hour show. I'll take that. Anytime I got one viewer, I'm happy. One person has been watching on Twitch, I think, all night too, which is pretty cool. When I did my own shows, I guess I never streamed to Twitch because I never thought I'd get any viewers. So for one person to watch the whole show off of Twitch,
100% increase. Well done.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Not only the amount of people you got listening there, but you got some knowledgeable people there. There's been some good comments and questions today.
Black Mazakari, the last comment of the night, says it's your show. You're doing all the work. Thanks for that. Well, there wouldn't be any reason to do a show if people didn't tune in. So appreciate that. Appreciate all the comments. You guys have been pretty active. I'm glad the chat actually decided to work for most of the night. It was kind of in and out for a while. I don't know what was going on with Restream, but it was a little goofy for parts of this. Oilers Live, I might have a show tomorrow night. Usually he does his his shows Tuesday nights, but I'm not sure if he's planning to go tomorrow or maybe Wednesday night following the Capitals game. If that's the case, then I think the Tampa game is on Friday. If you're not doing anything, Bob, we could probably have you back, because I think Dash is just dealing with some personal issues for the next little while here, and your goalie insight is always appreciated. The joke in the room is always the goalie's not the smartest guy in the room, but you seem to be the anomaly when it comes to that.
We might not be the smartest guy in the room, but we're the smartest guy on the ice. You guys are out there chasing the puck around. We just wait for it to come to us. So.
Yeah, I should have had Graham on so I could chirp him, but he thought it'd be smart to play one-on-one basketball with me in Crocs, and ended up rolling his ankle. So I can always bug him about his intelligence. Maybe not you. Yeah, you could check out our show. Used to be we would go Sunday nights at 9, but just started kind of doing post-game shows here. Black Mazakari says best wishes to Dash. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hopefully things go the way he wants them to go. So look forward to when he can come back. I'm not exactly sure when that is right now. Just giving him some time and some space to kind of gather himself and go through the things that he's going through. And Bob's been filling in for him and doing a great job. So I appreciate that.
Mike. I always appreciate the invite. You do a damn good job with this. I love being a part of it whenever I can. I'll always be available to you for last minute if need be.
Yeah, I think I didn't give you a message until partway through the first period tonight, so it definitely was spur of the moment. But thanks for coming on. Check out podcasts on Heavy Hockey Network, available on YouTube. Oilers Live's Twitter, Heavy Hockey Network Twitter account, Facebook under Heavy Hockey, Twitch under Heavy Hockey, or Oilers Live's Twitter at Oilers Live, or my own at Mike Dursa when we're on. Lots of articles up. Fridays there's a mailbag on heavyhockey.com. You can submit questions, to me, to Oilers Live, to probably Eric Friesen, Dash in the Park, Ryan Lotzberg, Lotzie, I think is his handle. Maybe I got it wrong, but Ryan Lotzberg on Twitter, Tough Call Pod, Spencer on Twitter as well. I think that's pretty much the crew. Oh, there's also a guy named Kirk. We all write articles when we can, and lots of podcasts, lots of Oilers talk. Keep your sticks on the ice, keep reaching for the stars. Go Oilers go, and pray for peace in Europe, in the Ukraine, please and thank you. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us.